demonic angel. Today I want to talk about a cemetery topic before we actually go to the cemetery. So there's going to be a few videos. Please share your thoughts and comments. I'm just going to describe to you some of the stuff that goes into it for me. So whether I'm going to a cemetery or an asylum or performing a ritual, there's always an opening and closing of my consciousness for me. There's a dead man who is always a part of this, has been passed down through the bloodline. He saved my grandfather's life. This is something that I've understood through visions and dreams. My mom is really closed off to stuff. Just that's the best way to explain it. But I'm not, and so I just remember him being around as long as I've remembered the experience of seeing ghosts, which I just, as a kid, thought that happened to everybody. But I would see him either look like the other ghosts sometimes or just appear. I've seen him a lot of times with his head, but as scary as that sounds, the energy of that was always one of protection. And he would be, especially when I was a kid, I would perceive him in like shadows, so it was not really focused on the headless aspect. But all I know, you guys, is that this guy, he saved my grandfather's life, my grandfather was in World War II in the Army, and I don't know, maybe this guy saw redemption in his eyes. I think my understanding is he knew there was something different about him, and he chose to save his life. What he is doing with me is he is doing penance, basically. So he will take on the physical appearance of the deceased or to channel their deaths so that they can move on. Evolution and raising the vibrations, helping others, is what this guy is doing through being attached to me. I want him to be with me. I need somebody, right? So even if you're new, definitely you've got to come up with an idea of protection, whether it's a prayer, whether it's a guardian angel, or you can make your own servitor, make your and basically invent something with your mind even. But it has to be this consistently fed energy that is protection. Okay, so this guy, that's my understanding of that. When I know I'm going to go to let's say a cemetery, a couple days before, things will kind of open for me. So I'll start having dreams about the deceased. This headless man, he basically also kind of protects me while I sleep, my physical body, and that way I'm not just constantly bothered by ghosts all the time. But that way I am communicating to him that I need him to be, or especially around my body at that time. But that way I can perceive messages from the dead, and they definitely know I'm coming. Some examples are like, if I wanted to look for a specific person's grave, I just ask, and I'll always, be shown a sign. If there's an interaction that is not good for me, then the headless man will basically sort of end the astral communication, and I'll know. There's just a couple messages I've gotten so far is that at the cemetery we're going to go to first, there's going to be like a stained glass, and it's got red and blue and yellow, and it shines down onto this woman's grave, and she wants a big ass fucking rock on her grave. Okay, so we're gonna put that in our grave goods backpack, and then there's gonna be a section where there's a heavy feeling, and I'll be able to hear coughing, and I can't spend a lot of time in that area just because this is going to be an area where there was so much disease and that residual energy. So, you know, I'm going to probably watch on that for like, you know, we can be in the area like 5 minutes and then I'm going to have to go. Definitely living people are hearing coughing, experiencing that, you know, the symptoms of that illness. So those are some of the messages I've gotten so far. But so I open, and so that opens, you know, my consciousness to these kinds of messages. So when we go, I'm going to announce I come in peace, and I have brought my spirit protector, and I explain that he's also deceased, which, you know, and just one of the things about the headless man is that there's a lot of footsteps with him. So as he manifests, that's one of the ways that's like the big way really that other people besides me would perceive him. So this is just him following me, but I mean, he's also, you know, going to be following me to make sure that anybody who wants to interact with me is going to have good intentions. You know, it's just crazy. It really is. We just have such a strong bond. I know that's whatever, you know, you can think of that, but it's never failed me at all. I mean, he's you know, when I've been perceiving, oh, this is a helpless person and they're hurt, and then it's like somebody throwing water on you, cold water on you, just shocking me out of that, and then that connection is lost because that's the, you know, basically like an astral parasite or a person with a ghost with negative intentions. So that another thing is that I'm always going to say to spirits, stay here at the cemetery, do not follow me. There are exceptions in my case. I will say, invite certain spirits to come with me. After the cemetery, I can take them and with me and do a little ritual that might help move them on if they are like a little confused, and I say I'm able to communicate that to them that they're dead, and then okay, then they want to move on. Then I can take them for a little ritual, just create a little bit more light, raising the vibration with things like sound energy, and then they can move on. So when there are people, and there's a lot of ghosts like that, then I take them with me, perform this ritual, and they're able to move on. So I'm not just going to go to cemeteries to just go there. I love the dead. Honestly, I would be lonely without them. Even though there was so much fucked up shit that happened to me with the, you know, as a kid with the paranormal, learning how to balance my energy, I've really grown to enjoy the company of the dead, the good dead. They communicate messages. They're great friends. Like, I mean, you know, there's a whole bag of weirdness that goes along with them, but I don't know. To me, they're family. To me, it's like homey in this way. Now, I don't, you know, it's not my life 24/7. I can't just, you know, talk to ghosts all the time. So I channel in and out of that. But I mean, when I have moments and stuff, you know, I'll let spirits attach to me for a while. It depends on who they are, and then they can just kind of be with me a little bit before they move on. And I enjoy that. I'll take that time to enjoy their company. So yeah, I will move spirits on. I am not telling, you know, a specific religion or pushing any kind of deity on anybody at any place like this. So just from one human to another, a living person reaching out to the dead, because the dead are definitely reaching out for the living, and you know, somebody like me who can hear them and see them. I like to try to wear jewelry that might be made of pretty high-grade silver, or like things like quartz and amethyst that help raise the vibration as well. So just another level of protection. That's how I still like to protect the dead. I will bring some wind chimes, because a lot of cemeteries are by, like streets and traffic, and that kind of noise is low frequency and irritating to the living and the dead. And the dead are there all the time. These wind chimes can be a way of creating a sound vibration that's a higher energy for them, to just kind of help them chill out, rest in peace like they're supposed to be doing, all that. So I really just stress the idea of believing in protection in some form that's outside of yourself, whether it's an idea, a servitor, an angel, a dead person. The best is if you feel like you have a connection with someone who's passed over. I mean, the dead, are going to gravitate towards the dead spirit that is attached to you. And so, one of the first things that I perceive, especially on location at cemeteries, is how the living treat the dead. So if the living are repeatedly disrespecting graves, the ghosts will show me that right away, like how they're being treated. And of course, I try to do what I can. I wish all cemeteries had wrought iron fences to just help keep the dead in the cemeteries, and kind of help them move on. But there's definitely other ways we can work with light and other vibration, sound vibration, to help them as well. So in an example of a cemetery, though, after I do that and I say, please do not follow me home unless I invite them to come with me for basically a going away ritual, like a transcendence ritual, then I'll typically, before I, like for a good hour at least, depending on the experience of the place, I will ground in my feet in the earth before I ever go back inside my home. So if it's really heavy, negative, then, or sometimes things aren't just evil, it's that you perceive how people have died. So in the case of people who are dying of infectious disease, you get out of breath, you get a headache, that's very important to ground experiencing that. It's not always that, like I mentioned, something evil, as much as it is you're just picking up on that death energy, absorbing it, so you need to ground that and put that back into the earth. So when I stay outside for an hour, that way I can make sure I'm completely grounded. Ghosts, spirits are electricity. When you're grounded, you are neutral like the earth, and that basically makes it so spirits can't attach to you that you've just encountered. So whatever you're still allowing within your consciousness and what's already with you is going to be there, but it's a good way to end a ritual. So you're out there, you go get your electrons and keep spirits that you don't want away from you. Honestly, that is very effective, and I recommend stuff like that. So if you go to a cemetery, if you can, wear bare feet or leather shoes, because then you can go experience nature, get you some electrons, and protect yourself from ghosts following you home. But either way, if you live in a city and you have to get a grounding mat, that's fine. Grounding sheet, that's fine. Look into it for quality. You get the idea. But I do. So I stand on the earth for like a whole hour. This also helps, like the thoughts about, oh man, I'm so sad about all these kids who just died. I'm looking at their graves. When we're grounded, we think mostly just in the present. So the past and the future, or other people, vibrate with, like the rest of our body, with the earth. So there's no more sadness. There's no more taking like somebody, whole emotional journey with you. So you're not just stuck in like, okay, there's these cholera victims, and now you're just in it for weeks and weeks and weeks. Because if I was like that, I wouldn't be doing this. I ground myself, and it takes that pain, the sadness, because our mother, the earth, can handle it and neutralize that pain. So I am taking the energy of the deceased, accepting it within myself. After I leave the cemetery, I'm grounding my feet, my whole body, and putting that back into the earth to be neutralized, healed. Dead can many, many times, just so by the way, like the experience of you experiencing their death, that can help a lot of them move on. But I mean, I don't recommend that for your average person, because you really have to understand how to balance your energy out. Otherwise, that would drain you very quickly, make you very sick. But I mean, yeah, for me personally, I take the headless man with me, where I announce my intentions, and I treat the dead with respect. I was gonna say probably more than the living, because it's kind of like how I feel about animals. Like, I kind of like them more than people sometimes. But and there's like elementals and all that kind of stuff. So it just is important to have that idea of protection, be respectful, and like I said, I'm not pushing religion on anybody, and I never will. One human to another, and we're just here for the interaction. And I always do a closing. Now, besides grounding, I take things like apple cider vinegar baths. I can show you guys some of that stuff. Somebody was like, oh, can you show me, you doing a ritual bath? Well, no, I'm not going to show, like, the whole enchilada, but I will, whatever the topic, and showing the essentials I have. That would be fun. But besides grounding, I might eat some fruits and vegetables to nourish the body, because it's spiritually and physically draining. Just little things like that. But I mean, yeah, I could also sometimes I just draw sigils and or puzzle, something that's just easygoing to just be relaxing, to come out of that. That way I can like I said, regain my energy, but at the same time focus, be back in my day-to-day. So I'm not, like I said, I'm not stuck in the experience of that. I think that really kind of covers today's topic and stuff. So we will do part 2. Oh my gosh, I know that was all long, but hey, whatever.